are being radicalized right now.
You're seeing a lot online, especially from the left, after this recent mass shooting that just seems at borderline unhinged. I mean, we saw Beto O'Rourke standing up in the middle of a press conference, giving out information over the death of elementary school students and deciding now's the time I'm going to show everyone how great of a politician I'm going to be, as if that's not a huge problem in itself. Now we have AOC, and I don't really like to talk about AOC because I find her stuff borderline just silly, to be honest. I mean, like she's easy to pick on in some degree, which is crazy to say because she's a politician and I help pay her salary. So there's that.
Of course, a political issue that we have here, but then there's also a very deep cultural issue that we have. We have the radicalization of young men. This is an issue. Young women are not doing this. Young non-binary people are not doing this. Trans people are not doing this. This is an issue that we have. And young men are being radicalized right now in ways that we have not seen. And we need to talk about that. I mean, and who's in charge of all of these platforms that are perpetuating this misinformation and violence? Men. Mark Zuckerberg. Where you at, bro? Where you at?
I'm sorry, I had to stop it for two reasons. One, never shoot a video where your crotch is right at the front. And number two, are you calling out Mark Zuckerberg to meet you after school because you're gonna fight him in the playground? I mean, what's going on? Where you at, Mark? What's up? What's up, Mark? What's up? You want some of this? I'm Jenny from the block.
4chan, Reddit, what's up? Because all these little things that they're talking about when they say free speech, they don't actually mean it because they don't protect all speech. They do draw a line at some point. Chan, Reddit, what's up? Because all these little things that they're talking about when they say free speech, they don't actually mean it because they don't protect all speech. They do draw a line at some point.
Yes, because it's against the law for some things to be said. Like, I can't threaten violence upon an individual and say, hey, bro, I'm just doing free speech.
But, people like Mark Zuckerberg are busy having dinner with Tucker Carlson, who's also airing little great replacement theories that are inciting violence.
Oh my
and
God.
He's platforming the very people that mass shooters are citing in their own very clearly written manifestos.
Except for Buffalo, but we'll continue.
Let us dispense with this myth of mental illness, okay? After this pandemic, millions of people have struggled with mental illness of some kind, whatever it is, depression, anxiety, bipolar, whatever, from mental illnesses that are less presenting to mental illnesses that are more presenting. This is not about that. This is about a trained, cohesive ideology of hatred and violence, whether it is explicit white supremacy that we saw in Buffalo, or whether it was just simply the silos that young men radicalize themselves in online for whatever reason.
So, a man walking into an elementary school after he just shot his grandmother and then shoots a bunch of children and a teacher, and he doesn't get the cover of mental illness, but everyone else gets the cover of mental illness. Got it. Great point. Look, I've been talking about politicians like hers response for things like this in the world is so narrow-minded and weak. It's a weak mentality overall. Is that they think that because of these mass shootings, it has to do with the internet, it has to do with radicalization online, it has to do with white supremacy. As she goes on in her, later on in a video, she starts talking about white supremacy being the leading cause of domestic terrorism everywhere in the world, and Tucker Carlson, and all the same boring talking points that people are tired of. People are like, well, if we just pass a new law, and maybe we can put some more gun legislation, or maybe we have background checks, even though there is background checks. It's like, no, maybe the conversation needs to go a different way. Maybe we need to look about how we raise a family, what's important in life, what do young men need to be stable human beings in life. Because for far too long, we're not talking about that. We're blaming it on other things. We're blaming it on freaking Mark Zuckerberg. We're blaming it on instead of making a difference in the community. Maybe what they're pushing, these politicians are pushing in the family environment, maybe isn't healthy to raise a healthy-minded individual. Can't have that discussion because then it goes against everything they're for. Because the question has to be asked, why has it exploded? It's not because there's more guns or they're more easily accessible. That's not the truth. To say that is a lie, and they're happy to lie to your face. They don't care. Why is it happening? If it is a mental health, what are we doing wrong not addressing it? If it is the way we're teaching kids, how can we teach kids better in school? If it is the way we're raising children, how can we do better or call out parents who aren't raising their children well? Maybe the things that we're teaching kids in school are creating narcissistic, psychopathic children who have a tendency to not look at another human being as a human being or the other, and is more concerned about themselves and their own whereabouts and who they are as a human being and their own happiness over your happiness. Maybe we need to look at the way we talk to kids and teach kids and raise children. But we don't want to have that conversation because why? Because it's messy. And then is going to be some accountability, especially with the older generations who started the whole everyone gets a trophy. I grew up in that. I grew up with parents who laughed at it, but accepted it. I'm not blaming them. I'm just saying this has been a progression into a mind of an individual that is more concerned about themselves and their health and their whereabouts and everything about themselves, that they will flatten anyone around them in order to get by. As I watched a video yesterday on my live stream of a woman being grabbed by the hair in a subway, pulled down, and you could see her mouthing words to the men in the subway, "Please help me." And nobody responds. In fact, there's a guy with a freaking muscle shirt on, a tank top, in the subway, and he looks like a pretty jacked dude, and he's doing nothing. So maybe we need to have a conversation about that in culture. Maybe we need to have conversations about, should everyone live in big cities? There are so many questions that need to be had that people will refuse to talk about because it takes accountability. Maybe this new progressive mindset isn't a healthy mindset for an individual to grow and to be a contributor to society. Everyone wants to blame something else or the other. It's always their fault. It's always the Republicans, the NRA. It's this, it's that. Or maybe what is being promoted in television, movies, video games, culture, our teachers, our politicians, our corporate media, is a form of narcissism, a psychopathic narcissism. Maybe I'm the crazy one, but I think our culture is at a breaking point now where we have to decide, what do we need to become in order to have a more healthy society? Not blaming a tool or whatever you want to blame, but how can we make a difference in our society, in our community right now, instead of being more concerned about like what about me and my happiness? Because the only reason I'm talking about AOC, because I don't like talking about her, because I just feel like she's such an easy target. But I think that when she said this, is that there are a lot of people that believe this, and it needs to be called out. To say that, everyone else is experiencing anxiety, or everyone else can have a mental health problem, but then men who go into a school and shoot up people, that's not mental health. That's just radicalization. Maybe it's both. What do you think needs to be done? What is the answer to these school shootings and just responding to politicians who are just disingenuous like her? She's literally doing this for emotional clicks. She's pandering to her base. She's hitting all the points. She talks about transgenderism in the next thing, white supremacy. She goes down the list to make sure her base is happy with what her statement. But I don't care about anyone's base. I don't care about talking points. I don't care about politicians. I don't care about Biden. I don't care about Trump. I don't care about any politician. I just care about you and me having a conversation of what we can do. Because it's clear these people, especially in politics, want to push the blame to everyone else. So don't look for them for the answers. Don't wait for them to finally make the move. That's what they want you to do. You have just as much influence in today's culture as they do, if not more, because I think that you and me are more human in the way we talk to each other, in the way, I mean, I feel like that's why you are here with me now, is that I don't have a producer. No one's writing my script for me. No one's telling me what I can and can't say. I am being honest and truthful as much as I possibly can. You are getting my whole mind when I'm online, when I'm live streaming, when I make silly videos, whatever. So I hope you trust me. They are beholden to their talking points, their sponsors. She pretends like she's above sponsors. Yeah, sure. They're all the same. And the ones that aren't the same, you can tell because the media hates them the most. I hope you guys have a fantastic day. Don't be like these politicians who are trying to create an emotional response so that they can pass down new laws that make absolutely no sense or are not logically consistent with what's going on in the world. May we make a difference in our community. It starts at the local level. It starts with you. Love you. Bye-bye.